Welcome to SVG-TV News for Wednesday, July 13th, 2016. I am Jennifer Richardson with the details. The Argyle International Airport, the AIA, is currently looking for a new manager following the resignation of Robert Mattingly. A senior official of the Argyle International Airport advised SVG-TV that the manager, Robert Mattingly, had resigned 2 weeks ago on medical grounds, and the chairman and the board of directors were in the process of sourcing replacement. The official further advised that a three-member team comprising the operations manager, the finance manager, and the human resource manager had been established to recruit subordinate staff, and it was the expectation that all relevant staff would be in place by September 2016. In more airport news, Prime Minister Dr. Rav Gonsalves says the delays at Argyle International Airport were due mainly to the weather. Speaking at a media conference earlier this week, the Prime Minister explained that over the last 3 years, they have lost no less than 60 days per year, which have caused delays specifically on the runway. Dr. Gonsalves further highlighted other factors such as 25 holidays, which are allotted annually during Christmas and the New Year to the Cuban counterparts, and the fact that government did not anticipate the length of time needed to address the petroglyphs found at Argyle.
We want time, and then the Egyptians, and we became prisoners of the Arab Spring and subsequent events. Eventually we get the Argentinians to do it for us. Because the reason why that held up, you couldn't do the blasting there. If you did the blasting when you have done the runway, it created problems. Or the drains, it weakened them, so you had to, the extent of the kind of blasting of the rock, so you had to wait in doing certain kinds of work. And the third one, a very significant one, is the actual flow of monies. I mean, I will sign on, I will get all the approvals for a loan from Taiwan, a soft loan. But the length of time it will take for actually to begin the drawdown would all the documentation required.
Dr. Gonsalves said the flow of funds has also contributed to the slow completion of AIA, noting that he was left with no choice but to wait 2 years to receive monies totaling some US $20 million from land which was sold in Canouan. He added the delay was as a result of disputes between developers on the Grenadine island. But Dr. Gonsalves added that the process is proving to be a lengthy one because of the way in which the AIA project was financed.
It couldn't be financed any other way than piecing it together, because now it is, everywhere I go, they talk about the airport, as Leacock said in Parliament, Sinclair Leacock. It's a miracle, it's a near miracle. But what I can say is that we come into an end. I know I spoke to Gart Saunders last night because I have a handle as to how things are coming with Rudy Matthias, with the IADC. But you know, we set up the company, the Argyle International Airport Company, which is the management company, which Gart Saunders is the chairman of that company. And there are a series of things which have to be done to accommodate the opening of an airport, even when you get it construction ready. That's the point.
The Prime Minister confirmed that while this month's scheduled opening of the Argyle International Airport will be postponed to a later date, the government will be proceeding with all other arrangements in respect to scheduling airlines, etc. According to opposition leader Annie Eustace, while speaking on his New Times program on Monday, July 11th, Prime Minister Dr. Rav Gonsalves and his administration are unable to manage the affairs of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Addressing the issue of the Argyle International Airport, Eustace outlined that it is merely another one of Dr. Gonsalves' broken promises. He noted that the country had been promised that the airport, which would be constructed by a coalition of the willing, would not have increased the country's long-term debt.
He has not lived up to any one of those promises. That will cost $480 million. That it will build without increasing the long-term debt of this country. I will prove right when I said some years ago, that's where we're going to end up over $1 billion. There was no real coalition of the willing with sufficient money to cover the cost of the project. There was no project manager. There was no contractor responsible for the project. And there was no economic feasibility study for the project. And up to now, they are still owing people millions of dollars for the lands they took from them in Argyle. The airport not going to finish this year. And Gonsalves knows that it's not going to finish this year. He has the information, and he knows that we'll not finish this year.
Noting that it is globally expected for nations to move towards a GDP ratio of 60%, Yusuf pointed out that it was impossible to achieve this goal in SVG because of the debt associated with the airport. He further added that St. Vincent and the Grenadines will continue to suffer once the ULP administration and its improper planning of projects, such as the AIA, remained in office.
This airport is going to make it impossible for us to do that any time in even the medium term. It's going to take a longer time than that to deal with the debts that are rising from the airport and other debts. Who pays the debt? It's you. You're the taxpayer of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. You will be paying the debt that comes out of the taxes that you pay. Gonsalves did not plan this project properly because he don't know how to plan anything. Where's the cross-country road? Where's the National Stadium? All of those were promises. Where's the economic takeoff he promised since 2008? This country will be turned around by this same New Democratic Party. You will see growth, you will see development, you will see progress. I promise that is what you will see.
Prime Minister Dr. Rav Gonsalves is anxiously awaiting the decision of the prosecuting authorities on how businessman Dave Ames can be made to answer his court charges. Dr. Gonsalves was addressing a media conference earlier this week, noting that he had little knowledge of the specifics on the matter of Ames' fraudulent deeds. He said what was reported to him was that the founder of Harlequin Hotels and Resorts had left the country legally, as he had left for Martinique from the port of entry at Chateaubriand via boat. Gonsalves further stated that while Ames had been summoned to appear in court, a warrant was not issued until after he refused to do so.
Where the issue was, is that would have been more problematic for the state is after a warrant had been issued that he left, because it would have meant that the court and the immigration authorities would not have coordinated. I'm talking about the court officers now, the court officials, which has happened before incidentally. A warrant is issued and somebody leaves the country because the warrant is in the hands of the court officials, but neither the prosecuting authorities nor the court officials inform the immigration authorities. But in this case, he left before the warrant was issued, before the warrant was ordered by the court. All that I know what he's involved in is what the complaint lodged by the Comptroller of the Inland Revenue about monies owed, and the file was sent to the Director of Public Prosecution. That's what I know.
The Prime Minister said that persons who have a responsibility to pay taxes should be mindful of the consequences of their refusal to adhere to the state's law.
Something which is very salutary, which persons who are alleged, and I can't say anything more than that because I'm usually very careful, persons who are alleged to have deducted PAYE, pay as you earn taxes, employers, and not pay them over to income tax, or who collect VAT, which are clearly trust monies because the customer would have paid for the commodity, paid the VAT to you, the employer, and under the law you're supposed to pass it over. I hope that employers realize that they can be subject not only to a civil process, but also to a process within the framework of the criminal law.
Meanwhile, leader of the opposition, Annem Eustace, also spoke on the issue of hotelier David Ames, who has been charged locally for theft and tax evasion. Ames, who is the founder of Harlequin Hotels and Resorts, which operate the Buckament Bay Resort, is said to have left St. Vincent and the Grenadines after he was summoned to answer to 8 charges of tax evasion and theft. Noting that the topic of corruption by Ames on the Buckament Bay Resort had arisen before, Eustace stated that it is alleged that Ames has allegedly continuously stolen the property of the government of SVG, and his case must therefore be vigorously pursued.
Buckama workers a week or two ago were involved in industrial action because they have not been paid. And this is not the first time that is happening. It is alleged that Ames and our Buckament Bay owes many local businesses a large amount of money. $6,991,000. And there are 2 figures here which we didn't add in because they look to me like double counting, but if they were to be added in, it would be $8.2 million that Ames would have been owing. But he gone. I want the public to understand what we're dealing with here now. We are dealing with vast sums of money in our context. Most of that money is owed to the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. I hope that is what we'll pursue.
The United Kingdom has relaxed the rules for Commonwealth persons wanting to serve as part of Britain's armed forces. According to a media release from the Agency for Public Information, the API, this also means that Vincentians are eligible. In 2013, recruits from the Commonwealth countries were banned from joining Britain's armed forces unless they already had 5 years residency in the United Kingdom. The British government has waived its residency requirements to allow for 200 Commonwealth citizens to annually enter the British regular forces. In a written statement on May 13, 2016, British Defence Minister Penny Mordaunt said a long tradition of soldiers from Commonwealth nations serving in the British military had existed, and Britain values their service, which he describes as vital to defending the UK at home and abroad. The various positions that are available for nationals from the nation states within the Commonwealth, including St. Vincent and the Grenadines, are Engineer Logistics Specialist, Gunner Logistics Specialist, Marine Engineer, Petroleum Operator, Vehicle Mechanic, Recovery Mechanic, Metalsmith, General Fitter, Chef, Logistics Supply Specialist, Medical Technician, Musician, and Registered Nurse. Interested persons are asked to register and find more information online or contact the Ministry of Foreign Affairs for further clarification. Dylan Ollivierre, resident of Beckway, was chosen to represent St. Vincent and the Grenadines for the 2016 Queen's Young Leaders Program. The Queen's Young Leaders Program recognizes and supports young people across the Commonwealth who are taking the lead and making an impact on their various communities. Ollivierre shared some of the things he has so far done for his community.
I was chosen based on the work that I've been doing in my community. Over the years, I've been using poetry as a way to address issues that affect young people. Issues such as crime and violence, suicide, bullying. In 2013, after the Christmas Eve flood, a group of us from Beckway got together to organize a collection drive for food, clothing, and water. We later organized a benefit concert that also was successful. The funds raised went towards purchasing school supplies for students affected by the flood. Rise Up Beckway Inc. was then created. Rise Up Beckway Inc. is currently a social activist non-profit organization which focuses on building and strengthening core ideas and practices of community development, education, outreach, and agency. With that mission, we have implemented a school supplies program where annually we donate school supplies to students who are less fortunate, and we have also implemented an annual talent expo.
A teacher by profession, Ollivierre also said he uses that opportunity to teach his students to be well-rounded and therefore better citizens. He stated that he is very honored to have been chosen for the Queen's Young Leader Award on behalf of SVG and plans to do much more for his country.
It was my first trip, so the first trip out of SVG traveling. That alone made it more special. and then being among 64 young people who are inspiring in their own way was exceptional. But meeting Her Majesty the Queen, it was very electric. Just being in her presence, being able to shake her hand, collect your award from her, it created a huge impact on my life. I think it has made me sort of hungry in a sense to do more for my country, to push to help the youths of St. Vincent and the Grenadines realize how much opportunities is out there. But it just means that as Vincentians youth, we don't really embrace these opportunities.
Ollivierre is also advising Vincentian youth who wish to make an impact on SVG that opportunities are just waiting to be discovered.
I will tell the youths to believe in themselves and their potential, to know that their attitude determines their altitude. So they should be positive, respectful, committed to achieving their goals, be humble, put God first, mainly. That's a big one, put God first. I think once you have faith and trust in God, everything will work out okay. I'd just like to encourage more of our youths to do research. The more research you do, you realize the opportunities that are presented. Opportunities are out there, we just need to embrace them and make full use of it.
The SVG UWI Open Campus will be hosting a lecture tomorrow, July 14th, at the UWI Lecture Hall at 7 p.m. in relation to their series of lectures on issues in international affairs. Suleiman Bulbulia, Secretary of the Barbados Muslim Association and graduate of UWI Barbados, will be the featured speaker and will be addressing the topic under the title, The Middle East Crisis, Political, Economic and Religious Implications for the Caribbean. The UWI Open Campus appeals to the general public to come out and learn at this important session, as these issues are common and prevalent today. A young man from Camden Park has been arrested and charged by the police at Kettles on 2 separate charges of grievous bodily harm and aggravated burglary on July 4, 2016. Renson Roberts is accused of stabbing and robbing Ferdinand Providence of $800 cash along with a tablet, among other items. Roberts was this morning escorted to the Kingstown Magistrate Court, facing the charges to which he was not allowed to plea. He was allowed bail in the sum of $10,000 with one surety. The matter has been adjourned and transferred to the Serious Offences Court for July 20, 2016, to have a date set for the preliminary inquiry. And Victor Tanis Bailey was ordered to pay a fine of $800 forthwith or face a 4 months jail sentence for assault causing actual bodily harm to his common-law wife, Lisa Nicholas of Barley. The court heard that on the date of the offense, Nicholas took her child to visit the child's father, and this annoyed Bailey, who then struck her in her face with his hand, causing her to fall to the ground and injure herself.